Hey there folks, Tom Rigsby here from TomRigsby.com. This week we're talking about keeping your value bucket full. Yeah, if you haven't listened to Monday's show, you need to tune in to know what that value bucket is. But today we're talking about a method for keeping it full. Stay tuned. This is 7 Minutes in the Morning. Hey folks, good morning and welcome. This is 7 Minutes in the Morning. It's your daily dose from me, your business coach. My name is Tom Rigsby. Well, this week we're talking about keeping your value bucket full. If you haven't had a chance to listen to Monday's show yet, I'd encourage you to go back and do that. But just briefly, your value bucket is this. You know, I tell you all the time, give value, give value, give value. You should give value 3 times as much as you ask for the sell. Well, if you're constantly giving this value, it is possible for our own internal source, our own internal store of value to become depleted. And that's our value bucket, right? So this week we're talking about ways of keeping that value bucket full so that we have value to give back. Yesterday we talked about leaders being readers and how reading books is one method to keep that value bucket full. Today we're going to talk about blogs and podcasts. Now, I know that you have at least some idea of what blogs and podcasts are because you're listening to this show, which is a podcast. You might not have known that, but it is. So let's talk about those for a minute. I saw a video last week from a staff member from YouTube who's giving out some stats about the service and said that roughly 48 hours of video is uploaded to YouTube every minute. I want you to think about that for just a second. 48 hours of video is uploaded to YouTube every minute. Don't you think there might be some real gems captured in there? I mean, sure, there's some duds and, funny stuff that cats do and whatnot. But just like this show, there are tons of information being created and shared with the world for free. Maybe that's a good source for some valuable information. That would be a video podcast. There's also the audio podcast, which there's a version of this show that's audio only, so that you can listen to it wherever you go, whenever it's convenient for you. And then think about blogs for a minute, right? Where would that content be captured if it weren't for the blog platform? Well, it would probably be in books, maybe in stories passed person to person, but probably most of it would just be lost forever, right? So the tomes of information that are being created and captured in blogs, in audio and video podcasts, there's tons of great information in there. And if you're not using that as a source to refill and replenish your own value bucket, then you are missing out. Now, one important thing to remember is that not everything you see on the internet is true, right? You still have to exercise some discernment as you consume this information and synthesize it into your business or your coaching, right? The same is true for books, though. I mean, how many books can you find on the same topic? Right, so hundreds, maybe thousands on a popular topic. And if that's the case, are they all right? Could they all be correct? Well, they probably all have just a slightly different point of view or a little different take on how things are supposed to work, right? You have to read that, digest it, and discern for yourself what's most appropriate. Well, absolutely, you have to do exactly the same thing with what you do with what you find online in blogs and podcasts. Maybe you have to be a bit more skeptical. I understand that. I'm pretty skeptical sometimes. But even in the ones that are not the Tony Robbins of podcasting, right? You still can find some great information in there. So maybe the presentation is challenging for you. Maybe the background is challenging for you. Maybe you don't like to listen to the birds in the background, right? If that's the case, find one that works for you. Find a set that works for you. Now, the third thing to remember is don't stop looking. Right? There's so much information out there. It's not really possible for us to find it all, especially in one sitting. And who knows what great new source of information comes about every day. So you constantly have to have some method of discovery, some way to be on the lookout for new content, new authors, new contributors that can help you refill your value bucket. All right, so that's it for today. And now let me go ahead and give you a tip, back up to yesterday, and we'll talk about audible.com. Now I've mentioned them a lot. They're a great and longtime sponsor of this podcast. If you go to 7minutesinthemorning.com/audible, create your Audible account through that link, then you get a free audiobook download. So you can get one of the books for free. I'm going to recommend one to you right now. It's called The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. Great book that reminds us to not seek perfection, but to seek to solve problems, right? Create a valuable product, get it out there to the customer as soon as possible. That's a great book to start with. I'd also love to hear from you. If you have questions on this week's topic or comments, or just agree or disagree with me, either way, I'd love to hear from you. You can do that. Shoot me an email, tom@tomrigsby.com. Love getting that listener feedback from you. Finally, if you find any value at all in any of these episodes, I would really appreciate it if you would go to 7minutesinthemorning.com/iTunes. Leave us a review and a rating there. That will help other people find this podcast also. All right, that's it. Tomorrow we'll be back with a third way to refill your value bucket. Until then, my name is Tom Rigsby, and I'm your business coach.